manager, and he has Minnesota as one of his territories. For those of you that don't know what the hockey director committee is, each district and hopefully your association has a hockey director, and our role is to help you incorporate the Minnesota development model and American development model into your program and build development structures and processes to provide the best development and experience for our players. During this presentation, if you have questions, please send them to me via the Zoom chat. You can send it as a private message. And afterwards, I'll provide additional information on where to find the information on your hockey director and where to reach out if you have any questions. So Guy, thank you for joining us tonight. Hey Guy, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, Jacob, you muted me, then you unmuted me. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Hey, there's nothing better than a Sunday night and being able to talk about hockey and especially the Mite level, which is such a fun age for hockey. But we have to get more information out there to parents and coaches.
Yeah, it's an awesome age for hockey, and must be really nice in Minnesota tonight. I think people are out on the grill, but thank you, whoever's on the call. I think I might have a few friends on here, so just a casual chat about Mite hockey. So go ahead.
And Guy, I do know we actually have a Mite player on the call listening in too, a 7-year-old from Eden Prairie. And so I'm sure he would love to hear some information that he could take home to what he's doing as well.
That's awesome. Getting to know the game. That's fantastic. Nice to have you, buddy.
So you should be set to share your screen.
Okay. You got that, Jacob, or no?
No, I don't see it.
Okay. For some reason, my... Hang on 1 second, bud. I've lost my presentation.
Well, as you look for that, for those on the phone call, we've had some other wonderful webinars that I would highly recommend you take a look at. We've had them both for geared towards parents and geared towards coaches and hockey directors. And please watch all of them, watch some of them. If you're a Mite parent, it might be interesting to watch and see what the older age groups are working on, or go and see what we've done for the coaches and hockey directors in regards to bench management and body contact, which we hope that you're working on at the Mite level. For those that have heard of the high performance programs where we train our top 1% of athletes in the state, we have 2 webinars on that, one for the boys side and one for the girls side. And that's all available on the YouTube channel of Minnesota Hockey. It's a good start, Mr. Gosselin.
Yeah, it's a wonderful start. Can you see that at all?
Yes.
Awesome. That was weird. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that, kids. Must have been the operator doing the error. So, Jacob, you wanted me to give a little background on myself?
Yes, if you could.
Okay.
I mean, you bring a wealth of knowledge to the game, and you've had quite the experience in hockey, both at the local level here in Minnesota and also the national and international level.
Yep. Been very fortunate in the game. Grew up in Rochester, Minnesota. Played, Mite hockey through high school down there. My main goal was to make it onto my high school hockey team, and fortunately I did, and went on to Minnesota Duluth and played there. We had some success up there, played in two Final Fours, played with a lot of great humans and some really good hockey players. So um, while that was going on, I went to a few sports festivals, um, played in the Olympics two times, went and played some hockey around the world. Um, NHL for a short cup of coffee, AHL, played in Sweden for a couple of years. So then after I was done playing hockey, I went and I was the general manager and hockey director for 14 years, just north of Milwaukee, and had a great run with that. And now I've been an ADM regional manager for USA Hockey for 10 years. So I'm one of the old guys. I've been around for a long time. I've been coaching at our national camps for, I'm guessing, 25 years. I have a passion for the game of hockey. I love to talk player development, and I'll get ready to rock and roll. So I don't want to keep rambling, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to hopefully provoke some thoughts in regard to player development. And this is a call to the parents. So we're not going to get real deep into it, but at the end, we have some Q&A, and hopefully you'll take away from this discussion what you want to take away from it. So everybody's different with that. But with that said, I'll just kind of roll into this. We're just hitting the tip of the iceberg here. I want to talk about player development objectives real quick. So the numbers on your right, can you see that on your screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so historically, these are the numbers. We're getting better. These numbers are a little bit old, but this was a real issue for us. When kids started playing hockey at age 4, we would only retain about 18% of those kids. And then age 5, we get up to 37%, age 6, and so on. So you understand the chart. That's a real concern for us. Again, we're getting better. We're implementing age appropriate training now. The numbers are getting better. My recommendation for clubs or for parents is don't throw them into the fire. Don't throw them in hot. Just kind of break them into this. It's a little bit different deal if you're from a hockey family and your older siblings may have played the game. That break-in process is a little bit easy for kids, but at 4, it's kind of a daunting task for new parents. I would highly recommend having a progression with that. Maybe a learn to skate or a learn to play. This is the most important part of the. You ask our people, and what's the most important year in hockey? Well, they'll tell you the year you're in, right? But really, the start of a hockey player's career and it's the experience that they have is very important. So I'm going to move into player development objectives here. We want our kids to feel comfortable out on the ice, meaning no anxiety. This is a fun place to be. I'm supported by my mom and my dad, and my coaches are awesome, and I can't wait to come back. And that also means that, we get to try our stuff on at home, and it's really cool, and we get to wear it around the house. And then you get out there, and there's 40 or 50 other little kids. And our job and our role as parents and coaches is to make them feel comfortable out on the ice. The environment is huge. You got to remember how old these kids are, and it's a first time thing for them. So, secondly, I could come up with anything, any of these objectives, but feeling comfortable with the puck, we want our kids to be able to skate around with the puck and have fun. Introduce one-on-one puck battles, increased awareness where you're skating with your head up. We had conferences. We interact with European countries all the time as far as player development goes, and Finland's one of the best at what they do in player development. And I remember listening to a skills coach, and this guy is a professional skills coach, and he's been involved with the Finnish Ice Hockey Federation for many, many years. And his main objective, his goal, is to have kids skating with their head up and with the puck by the age 14. So we're stretching it a little bit, with comfortable on the puck. One-on-one battles, you got to feel comfortable. The kids have to know it's okay to bump a little bit. And hockey is a physical sport. So that gets rid of some of that anxiety. Just increasing the awareness with your head up and seeing what's going on around you is a big deal. And the huge one, especially for these little guys, is to develop a passion for the game. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And we only have a few people on the call, so please feel free to interrupt me at any point and ask questions. Okay, guys? Very important in Minnesota. Minnesota has 20,000 mites, which is a huge number. That's bigger than many, many hockey playing countries. It's the base of our pyramid. It's really important. We don't want to just think about what we're going to do next year. We have to, keep our eyes on the prize here. So the younger ages is really key, guys. If we want to retain kids, it's a big deal to pay attention to the mites, and it's really actually hard to believe that we only have a few people on the call tonight. Maybe they're doing the right thing and getting away from hockey and playing baseball. So I'm going to move on here. Just going to show you some things that we promote. Sometimes it doesn't really look like real hockey, but if you've ever been out on the ice and tried to keep a balloon up in the air, especially when you're new on your edges and skates that don't feel very good on your feet, it's kind of hard to do. So they're really creating some body awareness here, and they're having fun. Moving on. Just letting the kids skate around. Free play is huge. The old school thought is everybody needs to have structure in their practices. It's okay to let them skate around and figure it out a little bit and maybe find a buddy to pass with. And I can remember as a mite myself, I used to go around looking for my buddies to pass pucks with. So hopefully my videos are playing okay here, guys. Here's one. Obviously it's tag, right? But these kids are working on their balance. They're working on decision making here. They're having a ball. The little guy in the middle hasn't caught anybody yet. He's not having such a great time. But if you're a coach, the art of coaching, I'd probably throw two guys in there, and then they can catch some guys. But kids are working edge work, flexion in their ankles, mobility. It's awesome. This kind of stuff we need to really develop our athletes in order to really set them up to have a chance to excel in the game. If you can't move, you don't have balance, you can't make decisions, you're not going to excel. So these are just examples of things that we do with kids that are really, really fun. We even do these with our coaches to teach them how to have some fun out on the ice. So moving on. It's not real pretty, guys. Doesn't look a lot like hockey, but we're skating around. You got to get your head up. You got to figure out how to possess the puck. and activity is huge at this age. These guys have like one motor. They're working with air. They're not developed enough to work anaerobically or really have necessary stops and play that much. Um, so they can keep them moving. Activity time's huge. Traditional practices, and I'm not the numbers guy, but are 12 to 16 minutes of activity time. We're trying to stretch it into about 30 these days, and that's really tough. I've been involved in hundreds of practices, and when you really have your stuff together, it's hard to get kids moving a half an hour in an hour of practice. So, moving on. Here's a great one, developing shooting skills here, and we're talking about reps. And these kids are really into it. They're trying to move the option in this game is trying to move the ringette all the way to the opponent's far side. So lots of reps. They're actually aiming the puck here and concentrating and getting their reps in, which we know, the child development people know that's very, very important stuff. Again, it's not rocket science. Um, if people tell you it is, I'd try to stay away from them. It's all about development and doing the right things for our kids at the right ages. Little puck protection stuff. Even at this age, it's important. They'll develop habits um, as they get older. We've got a lot of kids here, and we even see this at national camp. We've got a lot of kids opening up to the opponent. Puck protection is huge with your body, but that comes with practice, and it'll come at the older levels and with good coaching. But they're having a blast. They're active here. Um, really competing. Put a puck between any two kids or adults, they're going to compete for it. So, just
Hey, Guy,
examples. Yes.
as I'm watching this as a hockey person, it's easy to see the reasoning behind these types of drills. But if you're not a hockey person and you're watching this, what are we looking for and how does that translate into hockey?
Well, essentially, it's small area play right now. And that's what we're looking for. It's not positional play. It's not X's and O's. It's not tactical play. Um, what it comes down to at the older levels is essentially concepts and habits that we have um, gone over, huge repetitions in this, where the kids actually figure it out. And we know that hockey is played fast today. It's all about puck possession. It may be played in a third of one zone. Um, 9 or 10 NHL players play like that. Everybody plays, not everybody, but we play swarms, we play layers. You have to be able to navigate through small areas. So this is why we're doing this type of stuff with kids. Um, Honestly, I was fortunate enough here this last year to go to Switzerland with our 15-year-old youth Olympic team, and um, it was all about habits and concepts. We weren't really talking tactics at all. Um, and these kids knew what to do. So I'm really confident that our coaches are doing a great job. Um, we didn't say a 1-3-1 forecheck, 2-1-2 forecheck. Um, we took ice away on a forecheck and we outnumbered people and we went and got the puck. So the game's pretty simple today. So that's why we're doing this with the kids. There's progressions. There's a little bit more structure as they get older, but free play is huge and they're going to figure it out eventually. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on. Thank you. So just, not many players on the ice tonight. We got 3v3. And some people may take a look at this and say it's 3v2, but no, we've got a goalie on the one end. So just moving around and creating an environment where the kids are having fun, trying to create a little parity amongst the kids here is a great way to develop kids. And you know, whatever this looks like to us and whatever our perception is as adults, these kids are having a blast. And that kid that just shot the puck in is probably going to remember that goal. I can
Well,
promise you I did.
and I think USA Hockey did two phenomenal videos a couple years ago that I would recommend anybody on the call to check out. One is, I think it's called Through the Eyes of a Child, and where USA Hockey turned what looked like a football field into an ice rink with broomball sized nets to show from the adult view what a kid feels like on a sheet of ice. And
Yeah,
I would recommend people look at that. The other one is when they put when they put the NHL analytics on cross ice, half ice, and full ice Mite games, and looked at the differences in puck touches, passes made, shot attempts, corner battles. Really interesting, and reinforces why this is what we're doing with our Mite athletes.
absolutely. If anybody wants to see that, they can go to the USA Hockey website, usahockey.com, or ADM Kids, and they're on there. And yeah, we used adults on a football-sized field with essentially soccer nets and made them play hockey. And I actually was up there, and the reactions from the adults were very interesting, and it kind of hit home with them. So the analytics thing is, you know, we know that we need repetition. We know the kids have to be involved, and there's no doubt that that's a good thing to play cross ice hockey, and the numbers are unbelievably multiplied when you're doing that. So I'd highly recommend looking at that too. Moving on, here's the setup. Really simple. You can put a little tweak on it however you'd like. Um, the kids love this. You're getting more shots. You're going to have a referee if you'd like. Um, I'll say over in Sweden, they've taken the standings out until 12U. They're playing cross ice hockey until U13 is how they pronounce it. But so we got kids playing cross ice hockey until they're 12 years old with these smaller countries. Minnesota hockey has 49,000 registered players. Sweden's a little over, or maybe a little under. I'm guessing 48,000 right now. Finland's got about 39,000. They're producing some very high end players. They're passionate. They really have a holistic approach. Um, but the argument is over. The train has left the station here. And, most of our local associations are playing cross ice hockey. Um, like I say, the argument's over. We've been doing this for 10 years now, and this is the way hockey looks. If you want to add a little bit, you might get the cross ice divider boards. I know that Minnesota Hockey's provided a deal on those. I'm not sure where they're at on that right now, but you might want to put cross or creases in for the goaltenders. Um, so it's going good. With that said, it should look a little bit something like this. And this should be at every level, in my opinion. Um, I know a lot of NHL hockey players that like to have fun. And I know a lot of NHL hockey players that were Mite, Squirt, and Pee Wee house hockey players. So, Carnival on the ice is a big deal. It's all about fun. And that's the number one factor for playing sports for kids. I know Heather's on the phone. She's probably going to give me a thumbs up on that. But um, we have to create that environment for our kids. It's hugely important. And we want to retain those kids. And then we hopefully will do a good enough job out on the ice and implement our not our systems, into the system. Um, Motor skill development, agility, balance, coordination. Um, like I say, Heather's on the call right now, and And I got to tell you that I've been really impressed listening to some of her research, in that the experts are saying, when kids are young, we got to get them moving on land, snow, ice, water, and movement in the air to be capable and to have physical literacy. Um, and I know that's kind of layman's terms, Heather, but there's a passion for that. It's true. I've seen it. I've been in the game for a long time. So sorry to ramble on. Jacob, you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say that for those interested, Heather Mannix is the ADM manager for female hockey for USA Hockey and did a tremendous presentation for us last week. On the title on the website is Coaching Psychology, but really what it is that every study of youth athletes and why they play has shown that they play to have fun is always the number one reason. And the research that Heather was a part of went in to look at what makes sports fun and did in-depth research and studies on that. So I would recommend anybody on the call check that webinar out for more information.
Good job, Jacob. And Heather has done a fantastic job. She's a very sharp individual and knows her stuff. So again, I want to reiterate that it's not rocket science. Kind of have to consider what's best for you and your player, but creating that passion for the game at this age is a huge thing. We want them to come back. You don't want to give them too much. Got to get away from the rink. We want them hungry when they come back, and we want to give them the opportunity to excel and be the best they can be. So, discussion. I'll take any questions now. I know that was a short one compared to last week, but it really isn't that hard, guys. Fun is where it's at. Get your kids active. That's a big deal.
Absolutely it is. And mites are such, as you were explaining, just a level where kids get to go out, have a good time, move the puck, learn the fundamentals, learn the skills. And we did have a few questions that came in, a good amount here. So we can go through those. The first one is, do you know what Finland is looking for at age 8 if heads up with the puck is the goal at 14?
Yeah, they're looking at developing resilient little hockey players that are athletic. And I actually was in Finland at the National Training Center, Verimaki, where all their national sports teams trained last summer, doing a learn to play week-long seminar. We had people from 31 different countries, but we interacted with the with FIHA, the Finnish Ice Hockey Federation, and it's really all about, and this is coming directly from their player development people that we have very good relationships with. It's about developing the human first, the athlete, and then the hockey player. So we had 4 or 5, 6-year-old kids out on the ice. I didn't see any crying. They were very happy. They're having a blast out there. They're very proud to be out on the ice wearing their jerseys, but it was age appropriate. We had mascots out on the ice. That's kind of silly for us old tough guys, right? The kids loved it. They wouldn't stop hugging these guys. It was fantastic. Pastel colored jerseys. Who would have thought, right? Age appropriate stuff. Their perception as a hockey player at 4, 5, and 6 are much different than adults looking at this thing like, we got to play hockey. So it's all about having fun. They had a blast. Develop the human first. It's a holistic model. Okay, that's a big deal for them, and implement skill development, and things just fall into place.
Great answer. The next question, and actually these two questions are combined, but the first part is, that this person heard something about Sweden reducing the playing surface for 6 and 8U to a sixth of the ice. Any validity? And then the second question from another person on the call is, if cross ice works so well at 8U, which it does, why do we have the kids move to the adult size full ice game at 9 or 10? Why don't we move towards half ice games at 10 and mandate like 8U cross ice? Even baseball, soccer, and now tennis has various size fields now. Hockey seems to have 2 or 3.
Well, I'll answer the second question first. How's that? Isn't it pretty obvious that we need to have a better progression? But I understand that we're dealing with people out in the field who have opinions on player development. But yes, um, it seems like a common sense thing to do. Um, it's like going from first grade to graduating as a senior when you go from a small area like that to boom, playing full ice. Um, when we see this kind of stuff going on out there and we do hundreds of, visits to clubs, it's pretty, it's not pretty for us. There should be a better progression. Um, did that answer the second question? That's very obvious. Somebody put that one up
Yeah.
on the T for me. So,
Well, and I also think that if we, if you believe in what USA Hockey and ADM is trying to do with the half ice and cross ice, talk to your local hockey director, talk to your association, because if they don't know that as a association member, you support that, they only hear from the squeaky wheels. And so go to them and tell them that you want your kids doing this, that you would like to see even a reduction in squirt games and go more cross ice games, which under Minnesota hockey rules, at least for the squirts, you're maxed out at 35 full ice games, but unlimited cross ice, half ice games. So I would recommend really pushing your association towards that.
and the first question I kind of forgot, but yes, it's true. Um, they have done a study over in Sweden on breaking the ice down in even smaller areas, and they were leaders in this area. Um, I forget how many years ago, but the way they put it was they had a crisis in hockey and development, and to break the ice down into certain areas, they understood that the kids were getting 4 more times the touches in practice in the small areas, and they've really done a fantastic job. So, yep, there's a study coming out. I saw a tweet on it the other day, and it's going to break it down even further. And how can you argue with it? Um, Again, they're one of the best development countries in the world.
So a few more questions, and I have a list here for you guys. So if it's okay with you, I'll just rattle them off.
Yeah, for sure.
The first one is when you look at play. Well, and these are all kind of combined. When we look at putting mites on a half ice or cross ice, the thought is it's not game like. How are we going to learn offsides? How are we going to learn systems? How are we going to learn to position ourselves? Because if you're not on a full ice, how else are you going to learn how to do that?
Well, that's pretty easy, and we get that a lot. You can show offsides and what it means in the locker room in 5 minutes. It's just like anything else. We have NHL players going offsides, right? Eventually, they're going to learn this. Um, cross ice hockey, put a couple blue lines in there if you're concerned about that, and do some puck support type stuff with the kids that are very easy games. Um, Really simple concepts and habits that you're talking about. And we're doing this in our practices. And if you're doing station based practice and you know what you're doing out on the ice, you can put any kind of wrinkle or constraint on a drill that will lead these kids. And then we're talking about older ages, not 8U, 6U stuff here. Um, So you can put any kind of twist on it that you'd like to get the end result, if that makes sense.
Well, I've seen with the offside, I mean, you look at these and you look at offsides. I've seen it where coaches just draw a line down the middle of the cross ice rink and say, this is your offsides line, and here's what it means. And
Pretty
same with
simple
icing.
stuff.
And yeah, and for those who are interested, I would recommend watching the presentation that Guy did on Bantam training and development, because at that level, the teaching of systems in the new age of hockey is starting to go out the door, and it's been concept based. Excuse me, it's been more concept based, and that's actually what Mite ADM is focusing on, just um, at a different pace and level.
Well said, Jacob.
Thanks, Guy. So the next question is, kids love hockey. That's all that they want to do. That's all we do. Is this best for him or her? And how do we manage that? My kid wants to play hockey all the time.
That's awesome. But, it's awesome that they love the game. That's wonderful. You've done a great job with the passion and stuff, but no, it's not good for a kid and it's not good for their development. And we're seeing kids at 15, 16, 17 that have seen it all already. And we're talking about burnout. We're talking about overuse injuries. When they've had too much too soon, it's really hard to get them back after they've experienced this kind of stuff. And that's why we're absolutely promoting multi-sport athletes. I was on a call a couple days ago and was talking with a Swedish kid that's playing Division I hockey over here, and he played 4 sports. He specialized in hockey, I think, when he was 15 or 16, but he was a very good athlete. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to develop all around good athletes with great motor skills that can specialize late in hockey. And we want to keep our kids hungry because we see a lot of manufactured, and believe me, there are really highly skilled players out there today, but you have to understand where you're at in your development. At 16, 17, 18, you're just starting to wind it up. Okay. So if we have for example, if we have a 15-year-old kid and he has to be told to go outside and shoot pucks, you take control of your own destiny. If he doesn't have it in him intrinsically, they're not going to have an opportunity to succeed. With that said, and the experts who have done all the research tell us that kids really mentally and physically, things don't come together until they're 26. So you better have enough gas in the tank, at 16, 17 to really ramp it up and excel and develop your skills and your strength and all the other things that come along with this. That answer the question?
Absolutely, it did. Absolutely, it did. Okay, the next. Well, and actually on that same piece, I know I've seen this in youth associations and talking to parents and coaches and hockey directors, but there is a little bit of the sense of keeping up with the Joneses. If the neighbor's doing something or somebody on the team is doing a hockey thing, I should be doing that because that's what's best for my kid. But in reality, kids have to develop at their own pace. And there is a development plan. ADM lays out a long-term athlete development plan, which leads me into this next question, which is it okay for my kids to play other sports? And what role does physical literacy play in sports for kids?
Wow. You said like 4 things that hit nerves there. Great questions.
Hey, thank you, Guy.
Yeah. Holy cow. So we talked about the development thing. It's common sense. Each player is an experiment in one. Okay, we all develop at different paces. Most of the people that I talk to are talking about the 1%ers, and I like to talk to people about the 99 percenters, the normal ones, that we have to be patient with their development. Okay, everybody wants to fast track this thing. So as a parent, the best thing you can do is be patient with your player, understand that everybody develops at a different pace, educate yourself, know the important things. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses. Okay. There's some poor examples out there because we have some hockey people that have been successful in hockey, or they played at high levels, and they may have their kids doing certain things. You do not have to do that, I can promise you. And you need to ask yourself, um, who's making money on this deal, or who's going to benefit. You got to put the kids first. You have to put the players first, which is really a big deal. And most of them, and this is what the experts are telling us, most of them have to have time away from the game. And that's what it is. It's really simple. And if anybody has any issues with that, I would love to discuss that offline, and we'll hand out my email at the end of this deal. I don't know. Did that answer your 4-question question?
I think it did. Another question came in. What would be a suggestion for dividing teams in the Mite program based on skill, like skilled against each other as closely as possible by age? How would you recommend doing that?
That one, that's a tough one. We're all over the map. We promote like skill levels, which is really hard. A little bit easier if you have, 200 mites. But if you have 20 mites, that's a tough deal. So creating parity, that's a really in-depth question. We all know that kids want to be stretched, or they need to be stretched. Everybody that's learning or developing in any walk of life has to be stretched. They don't want to be outside of their comfort zone, and they're, when they're panicking, and they don't want it to be boring. So I think this comes down to the question of, what size your youth hockey association is, and what's best for your kids. I could give you the answer that, yeah, okay, we're gonna put them together by ability, but you have to put a twist on your association. And I know that that's the company answer, but you have to have a practical application with this, and it's all over the map. But if you'd like, feel free to give me a call and we can discuss that, and you can tell me what the situation is.
And in regards to that as well, I'd recommend reaching out not only to Guy, but also your district hockey director, and seeing what's out there and available in regards to resources. So, okay, we only have a couple more questions here. What are your thoughts on playing one position growing up?
That's a good one. That's kind of a hot topic right now, actually. Was it last year, Darlene? Our Swedish, the person that went, I can't remember his name, but the person that went first overall played forward until a year before he got drafted, and he went first overall. How about that? I have a friend that played over in Sweden. I didn't know his kid was playing in the NHL. I just learned this recently, but he played forward until he was 15 years old. And now he's playing defense for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So those are a couple examples, but really the discussion is interchangeable parts today. Back in the old days, 20 years ago, and we don't coach the way we did 20 years ago, and we don't develop players the way we did 20 years ago. You played a position, and they told you where to be out on the ice, and that's where you were going to be. I don't want to say it's interchangeable today, but you know what? You better be capable, and you better have the same skill set, the high skill set that the forwards have or the D have or whatever. You need to understand all the positions. You need to understand the concepts and the habits. So I would not say you have a set position. I would highly promote, especially at the younger ages, playing forward, D, even having a shot at goaltending.
And the last question is, can a Mite kid also go and play basketball in the winter? And is that okay to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, hopefully our youth sports communities are playing nice together in the sandbox, where we understand that we're trying to develop children and not just a single sport athlete here. So it's all about balance and what's best for you and your family. Some kids need a little more, some kids need a little less. We want happy, healthy, athletic kids. So yes, it's absolutely fine.
How about skiing or snowboarding in hockey season?
You know what? Absolutely. And it's a balanced thing. You know, I would highly promote all of that stuff. When we got into college, that's when our coaches said, you guys shouldn't be on the ski hill because we have more injuries up on the ski hill than we do on the ice rink. So, but yeah, kids are resilient. We got to get them active. We got to get them out of the house.
Well, Guy, thank you very much. And we appreciate having you here. And I'm just, sorry about that.
Holy cow, am I in trouble?
You are not. That was
We're
all
not getting
my fault.
recorded anymore. That's all right.
No, we are. I'm sure that Derek is rolling his eyes right now at me. I did just want to share with everybody, if you have questions after this presentation, please feel free to reach out to Guy or myself, or also your local district hockey director, which you can find by going to minnesotahockey.org, rolling over about the board of directors, committees, and then down to hockey director committee. And each of your districts has a hockey director that would love to answer any and all questions you have. It can also point you in the direction for the best resources. So Guy, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Jacob. Thank you, everybody, and stay safe and have a great Sunday night.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.